Walk outside on August 15th and you'll see one of two gardens. The first one looks like it's been there for 15 years. Dense, full, spilling over its own edges. The kind of garden people slow down to look at from the street. The second one still has those same bare patches from spring because the homeowner did what almost every homeowner does every single year. They bought plants, planted them wrong, or planted them at the wrong time, watched them struggle through summer, and started planning their next nursery trip before the season was even over. The difference between those two gardens is not money. It's not square footage. It's 10 plants in the ground on or before May 1st, specifically 10 perennials that spread so aggressively, fill space so completely, and multiply so freely that by August, you will genuinely have to stop yourself from calculating how much the division material alone is worth. We're talking plants that come back every year, spread every year, and hand you free plants every year. So, let's talk about all 10 of them. Plant 1 is Creeping Jenny, Lysimachia numularia. And if you have never seen a single cutting of this thing establish in a season, I need you to picture a standard window box, 18 inches wide. By late August, one rooted cutting of Creeping Jenny will have extended 18 inches in every direction it has room to go, cascading over bed edges, threading between stepping stones, flooding the front of any border you give it. Zones 3 through 8. The Aurea cultivar, bright chartreuse, almost neon in morning light, is the one you want because it reflects even low light and makes shadier corners look intentional instead of neglected. Here's the hack that every garden center will never tell you. Plant it in a container first. Let it establish. Let it run over the rim. Let it layer itself. Every single stem that touches soil and sits there for 2 weeks will root. You're not buying 10 plants, you're buying one, and you're manufacturing the rest yourself before the end of May. Plant 2 is mint, any variety, but let's use spearmint, Mentha spicata. And I know what you're thinking. You've heard the warnings. You know it spreads. What you probably haven't done is sit down and calculate what that spread is actually worth. A single established mint division, one clump, 3 or 4 stems, maybe $4 at a garden center, will produce underground rhizomes that push outward 12 to 24 inches per season. By October, you are pulling divisions. Each division is worth $3 to $4 retail. One plant in May means you are sitting on 15 to 20 free plants by the following spring. That's $60 to $80 in plant material from one $4 purchase. Contain it in a buried bottomless pot. A 5-gallon nursery container works perfectly, sunk to the rim in the soil, and the rhizomes circle inside instead of colonizing your entire bed. You get all the productivity, none of the chaos. If you're not subscribed yet, do that now, because the next 6 plants on this list are the ones your garden center has been hoping you'd never find out about. Plant 3 is Creeping Phlox, Phlox subulata, and this one earns its place by doing 3 things simultaneously. It flowers in April and May in dense, cascading mats of pink, purple, or white. It spreads 8 to 12 inches per year through self-layering stems, and it suppresses weeds so completely underneath its mat that you will stop weeding the front edge of your beds entirely. Zones 3 through 9. The emerald blue cultivar gives you the cleanest true blue lavender color and the densest mat formation. The hack here is shearing. Cut the entire plant back by 1/3 immediately after flowering in late May, and it will push new growth outward for the rest of the season. Skip the shear, and it gets woody in the center and stops spreading. 30 seconds of work in late May means 12 more inches of coverage by September. Plant 4 is Yarrow, Achillea millefolium, and this one is quietly one of the most aggressive spreaders on this list. Zones 3 through 9. It spreads through both rhizomes and prolific reseeding, which means it's working on 2 fronts simultaneously, underground and aerial. The paprika cultivar goes from deep red to a warm, faded orange as the season progresses, and a single established clump will produce enough division material in 2 years to plant an entire border. Here's what most content skips. Yarrow is allelopathic. It produces chemical compounds that suppress the germination of competing plants directly around its root zone. You are getting a spreader and a built-in weed suppression system in one plant. The hack is deadheading. Remove spent flower heads before they set seed if you want controlled spread. Leave them if you want it to colonize a problem area. That choice is yours to make. Plant 5 is bee balm, Monarda didyma, and this one is the mid-list revelation. Zones 4 through 9. It spreads through underground rhizomes at a rate of 12 to 18 inches per season. It produces flowers that attract hummingbirds, bumblebees, and swallowtail butterflies at volumes that will make your neighbors genuinely jealous. And it does all of this while simultaneously suppressing grass encroachment through sheer rhizome density. The Jacob Klein cultivar is the one, deep scarlet red, mildew-resistant unlike older varieties, and aggressive enough to fill a 4-foot section of border from a single division in 2 seasons. One established clump by year 3 will give you 8 to 12 free divisions. That's $40 to $60 in plant material every single October. Drop a comment right now. Tell me what zone you're in and what empty space in your home garden is driving you crazy. Because I guarantee something still coming on this list was built for exactly that problem. Plant 6 is Black-Eyed Susan, Rudbeckia fulgida, and this is the reseeding engine of the list. Zones 3 through 9. It doesn't spread by rhizome. It spreads by seed, prolifically and enthusiastically, and what that means practically is that one established plant becomes a self-sustaining cutting garden. The Gold Sturm cultivar produces uniform deep yellow flowers with a black center from July through October. And if you leave the seed head standing through winter, which you should, because the birds will thank you, you will have seedlings coming up in a 6-foot radius by the following spring. The hack: thin those seedlings aggressively in April. Select the strongest 4 or 5, pot up the rest, and you have transplants worth $3 to $4 each to give away, sell, or trade. $0 spent. Every year. Plant 7 is Catmint, Nepeta ex Facenii, and this one earns its place by being simultaneously the most elegant spreader on the list and the most practically useful. Zones 4 through 8. It spreads 12 inches per season through a combination of self-seeding and clump expansion. It flowers in lavender blue from May through frost if you shear it back after the first bloom flush, and it is allelopathic enough to keep grass from encroaching into your bed edges. The Walker's Low cultivar is the one, sprawling habit, 2 feet tall, 36 inches wide at maturity, and it will drape over a path edge in a way that makes your garden look designed and cared for even when you haven't touched it in 3 weeks. Shear it by half in mid-July, and it reflowers by August. Same plant. Second show. 0 additional cost. Plant 8 is Coneflower, Echinacea purpurea. And I know everyone talks about coneflower, but here's the thing. Most people plant it and treat it like a static plant, and that's the mistake. Zones 3 through 9. Established coneflower clumps self-divide naturally every 3 to 4 years, and they reseed freely enough that by year 2, you will have volunteer seedlings coming up within 18 inches of the parent plant. The Magnus cultivar produces the largest flowers on the sturdiest stems, and the seed heads left standing through winter feed goldfinches from September through February, while simultaneously dropping the next generation of seedlings directly into your bed. The hack is this: pot the volunteer seedlings in May instead of pulling them. By August, you have blooming plants worth $5 to $7 each. Same math as everything else on this list. Compound interest, but in plants. Plant 9 is Creeping Thyme, Thymus serpillum, and this one is working harder than any other plant on this list per square inch. Zones 4 through 9. It spreads 4 to 6 inches per season through stem rooting. It tolerates foot traffic, actual walking on it. It releases fragrance when crushed. It flowers in midsummer in dense pink to purple mats that pollinators absolutely descend on. And it completely eliminates weeds in any area it colonizes through sheer mat density. The elfin variety is the most compact and the most aggressive in difficult spots, between pavers, at the base of walls, in the cracks of steps. Plant it once between your pavers in May, and by September it is filling every gap on its own. No reweeding, no replanting. The same plant, doing the same work, every single year. Plant 10 is Ornamental oregano, Oreganum laevigatum. And this is the closer, the one that makes you rethink what a spreading perennial is even supposed to do. Zones 5 through 9. It spreads through rhizomes and reseeding simultaneously. It produces airy pink to purple flowers from July through September that dry beautifully on the stem for cutting arrangements. And it handles drought, poor soil, and neglect with the kind of cheerful indifference that makes every high-maintenance annual in your garden look like a liability. The Herrenhausen cultivar is the one, deep purple flower clusters, ornamental in a way that makes it look expensive and intentional even when it's actively colonizing bare soil. Leave the seed heads, let it spread. The division material it produces by year 2 is worth $10 per clump at any farmer's market that carries herbs and perennials. Same logic as the mint, same underground energy, just with better flowers. Here's why May 1st is the specific window that makes all of this work. Soil temperature. Across most American home garden zones, 4 through 8, May 1st soil sits between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit at the 4-inch depth, where perennial root establishment actually happens. That temperature range is the biological trigger for root cell division. Roots put in the ground at 55 to 65 degrees, establish in 14 to 21 days, and push into new soil before summer heat drives energy upward into foliage. Plants put in the ground in June at 70+ degrees soil temperatures spend the first 6 weeks fighting heat stress instead of establishing root systems, and they enter their first summer behind. The spread you see in August, the carpet of creeping thyme, the mint division explosion, the bee balm pushing its second foot of rhizome, that all traces back to a root system that had 12 to 14 weeks of establishment before the heat arrived. May 1st is not arbitrary. It's the last date in most zones where you can put a spreader in the ground and guarantee it has enough establishment time to perform in its first season. 3 things to do before May 1st. First, order or source your cultivars now. Aurea, Creeping Jenny, Goldsturm Black-Eyed Susan, Jacob Klein Bee Balm, and Walker's Low Catmint sell out at good nurseries by mid-April. Second, identify your problem spaces, the bare edges, the weedy borders, the shaded corners, and match them to the specific spreaders on this list built for those conditions. Third, get buried containers ready for the rhizome spreaders, mint and bee balm especially, so you're containing them from day 1 instead of chasing them in year 2. Drop a comment and tell me which plant is going in the ground first and what your biggest garden problem is right now. Because next week, we're going deeper on the containment hacks and division timing that turns this list into a 3-year plan your garden is still executing without your help.